The daytime with Aston Avery. Stephen Smith joins me, and joining us right now is Agony aunt Heidi Gammon. So, hello, Heidi.
Heidi.
Good morning, Aston and
Morning.
Stephen. Good morning.
Good
Lovely
morning.
to see you.
We're talking weddings.
Weddings.
Woo!
So, Stephen's got the first question about weddings, haven't you, Stephen?
Indeed. What can you do about wedding nerves? I'm sure I'm not going to be nervous, and I'm not the bride, but I'm walking Sherry down the aisle. I have to give a speech. So what am I going to do about in case I have any nerves?
I think some deep breathing before you go walk down the aisle. Get her to do some deep breathing as well, because she's likely to be very nervous as well, I'm sure.
She says she's not.
Oh, she's not. Oh, she's fabulous.
Wow.
So she's
Have you got any nerves? Do you want any tips or anything? She said no. No tips.
Maybe it's stiff brandy.
No tips for the wedding night either.
Wow, that's great. I think
Wow.
just try and take a moment to be calm before it all happens, and that should calm your nervous system down a little bit. Lots of deep breathing.
Heidi, what were these herbal remedies people sometimes take?
Well, I think that all helps. I mean, it never helped me particularly, but I mean, doesn't mean they don't help a lot of people. I think, you know, things like Rescue Remedy are great. You can give them a whirl. But I generally think just some really good grounding deep breaths, feet on the ground, in for 4, out for 8. Really good deep breaths, calm that nervous system down.
So Sherry and I shouldn't have a bottle of champagne in the back before we walk down the aisle.
Maybe a glass, maybe not a whole bottle.
So it seems to be, Heidi, that our Stephen here doesn't seem to never get a date. So is anything going wrong with that sense here?
What's going on?
I don't know what's going wrong, because I love our Stephen and he is fabulous. So I think he just might need to get himself out more.
Put myself about.
Put yourself out more. I think you need to get yourself out there more, Stephen.
You're probably not, Stephen. You're probably not the only one, because obviously more attracted to females here, and I'm in that same boat as you, Stephen. So.
Well, we talk about you all the time. It's my turn today to be single. Get you a nice date, Aston. I offered to try and get you one. I mean, it's nice to set you up at some point. I will do at some point, get you set up. Now, listen, what goes so wrong with so many weddings is the hen and stag do. You know, so a number of times that, you know, we get carried away and it's the end of the wedding sometimes. When should you have the hen or stag do if you're going to have one? And can we even call them that these days? I don't know.
I don't know. I would say at least a week before. If you can do it 2 weeks before, then fabulous. I mean, I don't think anyone really wants to get married with a hangover and puffy eyes and not looking their best. So yeah. I always think just do it a bit before is always a good situation.
Yeah, and not get too carried away. I mean, you've got to pick someone responsible if you're letting someone else organize it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's a good thing if you get your one friend that doesn't drink to organise it, because, you know, it can all go a little bit pear-shaped, can't it, quite easily, and things can get out of hand. So, yeah, I think a week before and have someone, like you say, very sensible to organise it for you is always a good
or organising yourself, and there's no upsets or surprises, is there?
Yes, that's it.
I say you don't want to be tied to some tree or anything.
Man, well, I can give you tips on best man, Stephen, because that's what I've had before.
Tie him to a tree or do anything weird?
No, not that one. No, not anything weird like that. It was actually done properly, just so you know, like a proper stag do. Anyway, so bam, it was a pub crawl in the evening, go-karting during the day. So that's the stag do.
That's good.
So that's an idea you can actually without tying anyone to a tree, of course.
You see examples of the saran wrap to something or something stupid. I wouldn't like that whatsoever.
Now, Heidi, this is a big question here for same gender couples here who want to do like stag hen do's or the other way around, etc. here. So, do you think they should be completely open with an intended about the sexual history here?
Oh, that's a tricky question, Aston. I think you can always give a very brief history. Yeah. I never think it's very good to go into too much detail. I think no one needs to know everything. I think a brief history is always a good idea. Yeah. I think otherwise then jealousy rears its head, and you know.
Also puts you off them if they're going off on and on about their sexual conquests and who did what. The minute someone tells me someone wasn't good in bed or they were this, I think, oh my God, it's a test. I just couldn't cope with it. I like a minimum. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant. I don't want to see all the food laid out before I go into the restaurant. I like a nice surprise, hopefully a nice surprise. Well, Heidi, listen, we've got, as always, because you're so popular, we have a listener who's emailed in to us. She's getting married in 3 weeks to a lovely man. She just loves and adores, and is the father to a 2-year-old daughter. Last month, she went out and got drunk and woke up in bed with her, wait for this, with his best friend's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Neither of us identify as gay. She went to bed with a girl when she was at college once, right? Both have agreed not to tell their partners, but she feels a little bit wrecked with guilt and doesn't want to go into the marriage with secrets. Should she tell him?
Oh, Debbie, this is a really tough one, and I really sympathise and empathise with your situation because it's a tough space to be in. I wonder if you need to explore your sexuality a little bit more, and I wonder if you want to. I think if you want to explore your sexuality, then you're going to need to have that conversation, and maybe it will be something he's okay with, letting you explore it. Yeah. Maybe he's not, who knows. I feel if it's not something you feel you want to explore, you could just chalk that down to a drunken night and move forward. I mean, I'm always, honesty is the best policy, but if it's going to really hurt him and there's going to be no positives from it, then, you know.
He's at least bisexual, if you know. And the other thing that would worry me a little bit, Heidi, correct me if I'm wrong here, is sometimes fantasies are best left in their boxes. And not ruin your relationship. I don't think she's made a mistake of some kind. I just wonder whether she should be better not telling him at all. She clearly, she says she loves him. She's a 2-year-old child. I mean, a lot of people come out late in life as LGBTQ, and that's fine. But she doesn't seem to show any signs here of really wanting to go into a relationship with a woman. She obviously loves this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound from the letter that she wants to explore that side of her, and I think it's good that she's aware that she has that side of her. If she doesn't want to explore it, I probably wouldn't say. But if she wants to explore it, then
back in that box, then
yeah.
And I've got another email right here, Heidi, from one of our listeners. This is Vicky from Basildon who sent this, and her husband wants to go to Vegas for his stag do's, but she feels sick to the stomach as much as she can trust him and his friends that they're all single. They love strip clubs and also the likes here, but can she tell him not to go here, Heidi? That's the big question.
Well, I don't know if she can tell him that he can't go, because I'm never a fan of that controlling behaviour in a relationship. I think she can be very clear about her expectations from it, about how she'd prefer him to behave, and how, maybe she would like certain amount of contact while he's there to make her feel more secure and happy. I think it would be, though, a mistake to tell him not to go. I think he's every right to enjoy himself with his friends before he gets married, but I think that maybe could be some boundaries and some expectations around behaviour while he's out there, you know.
I mean, it's interesting she mentioned strip clubs. I think we should remember that strip clubs aren't sex clubs.
They're not.
And women go to see as titillation or cabaret, and if they have an erotic dance, it doesn't mean that anything's coming out or going to be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to have some trust, I think, don't you?
Absolutely. I think trust is the key here, and I think trust, and also setting up some, maybe, can you give me a quick call every day so I know you're okay and you're not tied to a lamppost somewhere, or
it's so difficult, isn't it? Because all relationships are built on trust, aren't they?
Yeah,
including friendships. So you don't want to. I hate like, oh, ring me every 5 minutes. Oh, hasn't rung me. I mean, it's the worst thing when you get a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Oh, he hasn't rung me, and you start feeling needy. It's just a recipe for disaster right away, isn't it?
I think so, and I think that like if you're entering into a marriage, there has to be a certain amount of trust there anyway. So if she feels like she can't trust him, then it doesn't sound good from the off. So she really needs to have that trust and like set up some of these things. Like, look, I don't expect you to call me every 5 minutes, but a 5-minute call once a day would really put my mind at rest, so I know you're okay. You know, something like that would be really great.
Or just go off and have a fantastic time and don't tell me anything about it and come back and we get married. That's going to be the other choice.
that could be another choice. That could be another choice. Absolutely.
Listen, Heidi, you've had a bit of experience of marriage yourself, haven't you?
I have. Yes, I have.
How many times have you been married? What were they like?
Twice. Yeah,
you're only 22, so that's quite a lot.
Exactly, I was a child bride.
What were your weddings like?
My first one was quite big, and it was before you know, the civil partnership came in, so it was just a humanistic ceremony. That was quite big. That felt like it was more about the wedding than the marriage. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, and now and then I had a lovely, wonderful wedding with my now wife, which was small and in the Cotswolds and just family, which was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
I've never been to the Cotswolds. I'd love to do that.
It was lovely. Unfortunately, though, the funny thing was I bought a very thin summery dress because we originally were going to get married in the summer, and it was actually snowing on the day.
No,
father.
So that didn't work so well, but I managed to find a little fur wrap to wear. So
that was not in the spring, was it, or was it kind of a wintry affair?
It was winter in between Christmas and New Year, so it was really cold.
I would love it to snow on my wedding day.
It was very special.
Remember Friends, the episode when Phoebe gets married. And it's snowing, and it was just so beautiful.
Yes, remember that episode as well with Friends. That she actually does get married. I'm trying to think who to anyway, but no, it went to Ross or anyone like that. It was more of
anyway, it was a beautiful wedding. I thought, I'd love to get married in the snow. It'd be great.
Yeah, the light is always really good when it's snowing.
I just like a date. I don't mind the marriage bit.
So for our listeners here, Heidi, who are planning to get married down the line as well, especially either this year or even 2023 or beyond that as well, do you have any do not tips for weddings here for our listeners here who are planning to get married?
I mean, I think I think weddings can bring up a lot of emotions for not just the people who are getting married, but all the guests as well. And I think it's quite common for some of the guests to act in an unusual or strange way. It can cause a lot of odd reactions. I think you have to, if you're the one getting married, just not worry about that and just focus on yourself and your day and just enjoying yourself. I think there's also lots of ways that you can cut down costs because weddings are so expensive, aren't they? So, you know, some things like doing your own flowers. I did my own flowers at the wedding. It took me 10 minutes. It saved me $1,000. You know, lots of different ways you can cut costs. Decorate your own tables at the venue. You know, lots of different things. But I think mostly just really try and enjoy it and try not to take on anyone else's emotions. Just focus on having a lovely day. And having everything you want.
You said there, other people. Have you seen the film Monster-in-Law with Jane Fonda?
I love it. Yeah, love it.
And she turns up in white to the wedding, and Jennifer Lopez is in white, and Jane Fonda's in white. But I've heard so many stories of mother-in-laws, particularly, and some mothers making the wedding about themselves as opposed to the true narcissist, rather than, you know, I mean, that does happen, doesn't it, Heidi?
It happens, and it's so common. And I think from a bride's perspective, it's very hard to deal with a mother or a mother-in-law who's struggling and having their own emotional crisis on your special day. Yeah. And I think you have to try and remember that it's about you and it's not about them. So let them have whatever meltdown they're going to have and just try and focus on your enjoying your day.
I mean, narcissism or narcissists at any event tend to be a bit of a nightmare because they make it about themselves, let alone a day like this as it comes up, which is not highlighting them, and they're having to work out how it can highlight them. And as I say, I've seen it so many times, especially in the showbiz world, the mother-in-law suddenly making about her or her pictures, or even the father-in-law sometimes makes
and I also feel that in that situation, sometimes holding a mirror up to them and just being like, I'm sorry that you feel like that. However, this is my wedding day and I just really want to enjoy it. So maybe we can talk about that another time, but let's just leave it aside for now, you know?
As opposed to buying an electric cattle prod and shoving them out of the chair.
So Heidi, pleasure to have you on today. How can our listeners find out more about yourself?
Oh, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to be on. www.counselling-for-you.co.uk, or you can email me, Heidi, Heidi, at counselling-for-you.co.uk.
You're looking great, Heidi.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you both. Hopefully see you soon.
I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon, Heidi. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.